Don't fall, Bumby. Bumby. Oh.
She doesn't care.
You playing with your sister? Good morning, pretty pickle. Let me see your outfit. It's so cute. Very sweet. It's your princess outfit? You do look like a princess. Yeah. Very pretty, pretty girl. Okay. Hello, sweetheart. All right, this is our poor little chicken.
I don't think you
got her whole, yeah, I won't show her whole neck, but it's all this in here that's injured.
All ripped off and open.
Yeah, so we're gonna.
We just have to keep it clean for her.
Yeah, but she is looking a lot better.
Yeah, then the first time we brought her in, she's looking real good.
Yeah, oh, look at the stinking chickens knocked my plant down and destroyed it. Those chickens. Dagnabbit.
Well, it was funny at first when they just knocked it down.
Anyways, I didn't know they even knocked it down. They ruin everything.
Well, that's normal for me, so sorry I didn't pick it up.
Yeah, if you could pick it up, that would be helpful.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so this side, see how you can see the feathers, everything sticking out? That's where it's all completely torn up, but she is looking a lot better and like she's gaining a lot more strength. So we're going to go ahead and clean her out again real good right now.
She was moving around when I came in.
Yeah, she seems to be.
Kind of running and,
yeah.
But
so
she
we're
doesn't,
going
like, go crazy.
Yeah, we're going to clean her out and then give her a little bit of time to kind of cruise around. All right, you hold her while I flush it, okay? All right.
She came over to a bush and
she's hiding back there.
I tried to feed her something, but she's
Yeah.
not eating.
All right, we got her all washed out, huh, sweetheart? We got you all washed out, and we'll give you a little time outside and keep an eye on you so that nobody messes with her.
Or she doesn't go too far to where we can't bring her back in.
Hit me.
Sorry.
And then we'll bring her back in.
She took
Poor little love.
Oh, that's good.
Hey, sweetheart. Big old boo-boo. All right, you hang out with Miss Chicky. Hey guys, welcome back to Heavenly Minded Homeschool. So we are up this morning, had an amazing night's sleep. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Olivia, for actually sleeping. And we are kind of hitting the ground running, I guess, today. We've done Bible study together as a family and taking care of some other things. I have 30 minutes left in my fast, doing the intermittent fasting, which I really love and find great results from as far as just health benefits. But I'm starving. I had done this a while back, and then I kind of got off track, and so just getting back into it. These first couple days I feel like are always so difficult because I feel like I am dying. I feel so hungry. But already this morning, just even on day 2 of doing this, when I got dressed this morning, everything seemed like it fit better. It is something that... Olivia, where'd you go? Hold on. Okay, anyways, yeah. So getting up this morning, getting lots done. We have been so busy podcasting and getting Bible studies. We're getting caught up with those. So if you guys want to come and we're finishing up going through Ecclesiastes in our family Bible study. Virginia is working on a tea party. Lily is outside watching the baby chicken, the one that's hurt, letting her just cruise around. Travis is so precious. He is out here. Our lawnmower broke, but he has got the weed eater, and it's just plowing through everything. He's so awesome. No, let her outside for a little bit longer. I need to clean out. Okay, I need to clean out her thing, though. So she can't come in yet. Okay, I'm going to try to quickly just pick up, do some of my normal picking up. I've got to clean out. We're keeping the hurt chicken in the dog kennel in our laundry room. So we've got to clean that out because chickens are disgusting. So when you have them in your house, they poop a lot and start to smell really, really bad. So I'm going to get that cleaned up. Please wash your hands, sweetie. Wash your hands. Soap and water. We're not really getting any like school done today, but we are getting a lot of hands-on practical learning and application school done today. So that's always good. And I also need to tend my plants today. I love having plants. I love having plants in the house. I love rescuing plants from like clearance sections and stuff like that. I definitely have a plant rescue. And usually what I like to do is on Sabbath is a day when I usually will like pull all my plants out when the weather's nice, wash everything, give it some good water to drink, and kind of do that. My time working with my plants is something that I definitely feel a great time to be. I really enjoy it. It's a great time to be literally connecting with God's creation, to spend in prayer. It's something that I definitely really enjoy. But with the past couple weeks back to back of having weddings and our whole Sabbath schedule and everything that we usually do being completely thrown off, I just haven't gotten to do that. Excuse you. So I'm thinking maybe today I will get to tackle all of that. And so I figured I would share with you guys more. Oh, good. She's drinking water. Good. Share with you guys more about houseplants. I've had messages from some of you about that, kind of asking, you know, gosh, everything I get I always kill. How do you do it? And kind of just some of my beginner's tips, I guess, when it comes to houseplants, because it is something that I love. There are literally plants everywhere in my house, which I love. So I will share more about that with you guys today, but I'm going to go first and at least get some like general picking up done because our house is a little bit in disarray this morning. And yeah, I'll be right back and we'll talk more about plants. Okay, my fasting window has opened up, which means I now get to eat something. So I'm totally gonna do that. So with intermittent fasting, when I'm in my window that I am to be fasting and not eating, lots of water, black tea, black coffee, they say. I like black unsweetened tea anyways. That's what I drink as my iced tea anyways. That's what I have in here. As far as the coffee goes, I've never been a black coffee drinker. I'm not even much of a coffee drinker, not much of an iced coffee, things like that. I usually have a cup of coffee in the morning, which I usually don't even finish, to be honest with you. And so for me, the difference I'm making there is I'm not using any like sweet creamers or any sweetener in it whatsoever. I am putting a splash of milk in it though. I'm not, yeah, I like coffee. I enjoy coffee, especially in the colder months, but it's not something that I like have to have coffee and I'm like super, super into my coffee. So to cut down and just do this or maybe stop drinking coffee in the morning really isn't that big of a deal to me. But I like black tea already anyways. But my window is now open so I can eat something. I feel like once you get through the first little bit, it's easier to go and not think that you're absolutely starving to death. Hold please. But anyways, I feel like the first couple days usually are the hardest when you're trying to meet your fasting window and to not eat before a certain time. It's just your body adjusting to it. So once you get going, it usually isn't quite as difficult to make it through. You don't feel like you're dying. Thank you for emptying the dryer. Camera's facing this way so you cannot see all the laundry right here that has to get dealt with.
Oh, okay.
No, please. And then also if we had it together and we're not eating dinner so late, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Ideally, if I ate breakfast like at 10 and we had dinner done by 6, that would be enough of a window. We just have not been doing a very good job these past couple of days at eating dinner before a ridiculously late hour. So hopefully I need to go, Lord willing, and get to do our monthly grocery shopping trip and then can have everything planned out and can plan accordingly for that. Thank you, dear. I appreciate you.
Oh,
please don't move that. Mm-hmm.
Mom, my jacket isn't in here.
Okay, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's in the clothes I just put in the washer.
What?
We have a bunch of clothes to go get donated to the thrift store, but I was trying to wash everything first, so it's kind of crazy. Anyways, that's what I'm doing fasting-wise. Pretend like there's not dog hair on my salami. I don't know where to put anything. Houseplants. I love houseplants. It's kind of funny if you look at pictures of really anyone I kind of grew up with. My mom and dad, big houseplant people. My mom, always plants. We would move with plants. I mean, stacked everywhere. Everybody had to hold the plants, you know, throughout the move. My aunt, huge house. hold on. Huge just houseplant people. So I definitely grew up around that. But throughout the first 14 or so years of our marriage, we moved at least once a year. This is our 16th home in 15 years of marriage. So this home is the longest we have ever stayed in one place. We've been here going on 4 years. So this is the longest we've ever lived in one place, which for us is huge because, like I said, we were moving all the time. And so I just never really kept plants in the home before this because it just was a hassle. You know, we're constantly on the go, constantly moving, and so it just wasn't something that happened, but it's always been something that I very much enjoy. And I'm a florist by trade and work with you know, plants and flowers and all that type of stuff. So definitely something that I enjoy. So when we decided we were going to be here, hello, Miss Virginia. What's up, girl?
I'm just going to go with my dad and play.
Okay, go play. I love you. I'm going to do a little video about my plants. They're like, oh joy, the plants. So when we decided that we were going to be in one spot for a little while, it looks like that was God was doing with us. It started off innocently enough of walking through the grocery store, and the grocery store plants always get me. They look so pretty. I just couldn't take it. And so actually these pothos were some of the first ones that I picked up. And after that, it really has just been a downward spiral. But I love picking up clearanced plants. That is my weakness. I have a plant rescue, right? If everybody can have these animal rescues and all these other rescues, why can't I have a plant rescue? So I love picking up rescue plants. I love just having plants in the home. It definitely makes a difference in your air quality. I think there's something enjoyable about getting to garden and to work with plants, right? This is God's creation that He crafted and put here. And so to get to incorporate that in the home, I think is, I don't know, I really like it. I really enjoy it. So I'll go ahead. I usually once a week will pull all of my plants outside. Like I said, usually for Sabbath, that's something that I enjoy doing, opening up the house and pulling all the plants outside, watering everything down, kind of sprinkling some water on them just to kind of dust them off and whatnot. But I have not gotten to do that, so I'll go ahead and pull everything out so that I can give it some fresh water and some sun. And of course, you have to be careful. If anything isn't a plant that wants a lot of sun, you don't want to leave it outside for too long and totally bake it, because that can happen too. But I'll go ahead and do that, but then we can kind of talk about just some plant 101 tips if you are maybe wanting to have plants. I think people usually are like, oh my gosh, I have a black thumb, there's no way that I could have house plants. Yes, there is. I promise you, you can. So we'll go over some of that stuff. Okay, when it comes to keeping plants, there are definitely some that are easier than others. Even if you think you have a black thumb, you can make real houseplants work in your home. Some of the biggest things that I see are really just people not understanding what that plant wants, right? So we've taken all of these plants that God created to grow outdoors, and then we try to bring them indoors. And so you have to pay attention to what type of light that plant likes, how much water that plant likes, how much humidity that plant likes. Thankfully, the internet, anytime you are thinking of getting a house plant, honestly, I would just Google it. Just Google it and see what type of conditions that plant prefers. And once you find out what it likes, I mean, sometimes it might take you moving that plant around a little bit to find out where your plant is happiest at. I am horrible at having a picture, like a design in my head of where I want this plant to go and how I want it to look, and then that plant just does not like that area of my home. And so you just have to adjust and move it and find its happy spot. Because all plants, they're living things, right? Plants, they're alive, they're growing, and so you have to find where it can thrive the best. Definitely makes a difference. One of the biggest problems I think we find most often with people with houseplants is actually overwatering. That happens quite a lot, where you think you need to give it all of this stuff, and really you don't. Most plants, honestly, are pretty hardy for the most part. When you see stuff starting to go a little limp, that's when you're like, oh goodness, need to water you, and it'll bounce right back. For the most part, some are more finicky, but for the most part, you've probably been watering stuff too much. And I showed you guys my handy dandy little tool. I have even to stick it in, but usually if you put your finger in, you want the top of the soil to feel dry before you go to water it again. So that's definitely a big one, understanding how much light it likes, and putting it in, especially if you are going to start a plant rescue and go and get the plants from the clearance aisle. You have to know and understand that sometimes it's going to take a little while for those plants to kind of come back. They're in the clearance aisle on purpose. So you have to kind of be patient and waiting for them to come back. And sometimes, even if you are the best plant person in the whole wide world, they just don't. I mean, it just happens. Sometimes you just cannot bring them back, and you gotta let them go. I will usually hold on to stuff for quite a while, and so it just means I have like sticks sitting in pots of soil sitting around the house for a while, but eventually, you know, I either give up or it starts to come back, and then I have some hope that it will flourish into a beautiful plant. But anything that you can find in the grocery store, like the golden pothos or an ivy plant, are good ones to get started with. Aloe vera is fantastic, and even succulents are great to kind of get started as far as the plant world. If you start to see yellowing in your plants, that's a sure sign that you're watering it too much. Another thing to really make sure of is you want good drainage. Many of the indoor pots and containers that we have for plants, they don't have great drainage in them. And so making sure that your plants get watered thoroughly. You want the water to penetrate throughout all of the soil in the pot, but you want to make sure that the water isn't pooling up in the bottom and just standing there. You want it to be able to have a way to escape, and not just sit in water, because that will cause fungus and root rot and bugs and all kinds of nasty stuff that you don't want to deal with, and it will surefire way to kill practically every plant out there. Most plants do not want to stay standing in water. There's so much stuff. I really don't even know where to start with and where to go with on this. So I guess, you know what? I kept recording. Let me just stop and show you the different plants. All right, let me just show you guys some real easy ones to get started. This is a snake plant, but this one doesn't need too much light, and just you see how it's got a couple tears there. I got it on clearance for like super cheap because of that. I was like, yes please, thank you. I've wanted one of these for a while, so I'm super excited I got this. Aloe vera, if you see ours, it's definitely cut up a lot. Aloe vera is a miracle plant for so many different things. You can use it so much. My great-grandmother growing up always had huge aloe vera plants, and whenever anything would happen, she'd tell us to go get some aloe vera and rub it on it. Aloe vera is amazing for poison ivy. It takes care of, I mean, it's like a miracle worker with poison ivy, and we have a ton of poison ivy around our yard. So I have all of this aloe vera growing for the kids because of the poison ivy. Sorry, let me set this down. I've got some new shoots coming in here. It is, I mean, it's not the fastest growing. Oh, look at these. The kids have cut these whole things off. It's supposed to just cut off little pieces, but they get a little carried away sometimes. I really think I need to repot this. I have 4 aloe vera plants crammed into this pot just because it's what I had on me when we bought this. And you see them, look at, they're like all falling everywhere and kind of going crazy. So they probably could use to be repotted. And if you notice here too, I have these little things, little marbles down here. This or sand even works better, honestly. If you're getting gnats in your plants, putting something to cover the soil helps to keep those little fruit flies and gnats out of your plant. So I've got these little marbly bead things here in this guy. Aloe veras are great, even great to keep in the bathroom. They love humidity, light. They're pretty easy plants to keep. He needs to be dusted. See, this is why I take him outside once a week, and then you can kind of dust everything off and give it some fresh water and stuff. So anyways, my poor guy hanging in there. So here is a light green pothos. Can you see this guy here? This was one of the small grocery store ones that I got. When you can kind of tell when it has really grown as much as it's going to grow in the small pot that they come in. So I transplanted it when it's always thirsty and it just isn't looking well no matter what you do. Sometimes it can be that it has outgrown its pot. So that's why this guy I have here now in this big pot you can see. And as soon as I put it in here, it just started going nuts with stuff. And you have to look. Sometimes they get yucky leaves. You kind of look through and just pop those guys out. But it is growing so well. Look at that, all the way down to the ground. I had this on a shelf and I'm constantly having to find a new place for it because it is growing so long. But it's doing super well. I love this thing. Pothos are such easy plants. They really are. Here is a dark green pothos. So the same type of plant. This one I feel like seems much fuller and bushier on top, but it hasn't grown as long, so it still stays here. This is the baby's little reading shelf. She keeps her books on that bottom shelf. Well, I put them on the bottom shelf and then she drags them all out. But anyways, that one's not growing quite as long, but the same type of plant. And the same thing, it was in the small planter until it just was needing water all the time. And even when I was keeping it watered, it wasn't looking the best. And so I put it in another one of those big, just a terracotta colored plastic pot, the cheap ones from the store. And once I put it in there, it really started flourishing now that it has more to draw from. So these are my guys here. Now, this is kind of a disaster right now. I put up this bar here to be like my living plant wall. Just ignore all the laundry I told you guys I haven't gotten to yet. And have been adding plants to that. The big one that I had over here, it wasn't working out there, so I had to move it, and I want to add a couple more small ones, but this was kind of, instead of putting a bunch of art on the walls, I was kind of just letting it be my plant room here. And our house is kind of funky in the way that it doesn't get much light, so I have to kind of mess with that. But these are all rescue plants, therefore the kind of sad state. Here's a spider plant. I have another one in a different pot that's doing much better, but this one was a rescue, and it's really struggling. Spider plants are supposed to be pretty easy ones to grow, but this one's struggling a little bit. I go ahead and will keep their little tags that come with them in the plant when, just to, you know, make sure, especially teaching the kids too, but all of the information on it, keeping it in there to remember what needs what. This is another one of my rescues here, and I loved, they had these at Walmart for just a few bucks, these little wicker baskets, and I'll show you when I take them outside, but the pot that they came in is inside of it, and I just slip it out of here when I water it, so that way it can be drained well, and then put it back in here. These were just simple little macrame holders that the kids and I made that we're hanging these in, but we've got, let's see, what is this one's name? Peperomia? Peperomia. Yeah, I guess that's it. Peperomia. But again, see when you're in the store and you're looking, okay, this one needs bright light. This one needs bright sunny room all day. Sorry, thoroughly water it, thoroughly allow to dry before watering again, and the indoor temperature. So you can look at all of these stuff when you pick them up to make sure that it's going to fit best based off of where you're wanting to put it. And this guy here is really struggling. It's up so high. This was one of my rescue plants. It's a type of ivy. I don't remember the exact name, but it was really in bad shape when I got it, and it's still just really struggling to come back. But I'm working with it. I'm trying. So we'll take her out and give her a nice little, but see all this that's drying off up here and really breaking off. This one's still struggling, but that's part of when you're taking in rescue plants, is sometimes they take a while to kind of bounce back. But that's okay. I like working with them because then eventually they are, you know, big, huge, beautiful plants like these things that you can't see because, there we go, light's having trouble autofocusing. So here in our living room, I just put this, I had two of these, but I went ahead and combined them into just one pot, and I've got it sitting here on this little table. Codinanth? I don't know how to pronounce all of their names, you guys. Come on now, they're weird. But I've got this guy here that I think he's hanging in there and doing okay. Again, this was another rescue plant, so it was in really bad shape when I got it, but I'm starting to see new growth. And that's how, especially when you get these sad clearance aisle plants, once you start seeing some new growth coming out on them, those are real good signs that things are starting to look up. So there's her. And then up here, this is a maidenhair fern, which I fell in love with. I think it's absolutely adorable. Yeah, I absolutely love this plant. I did not know when I bought them that they are really, really finicky. So she has moved into a couple different spots trying to find somewhere that works for her, and she seems to be doing okay up there. So she's growing, which is awesome. You'll also notice in our house, I have lots of these cuttings sitting in vases of water. Pothos are fantastic with this. There are many other plants that are great with it too. You can propagate many plants, but you just take a cutting and can put it in a vase of water and then see all this new growth that's coming out of it. And then just top off the water. But I have lots of cuttings like that sitting around. It's a great way to add some stuff. And when the plants are in water, you don't have to worry about gnats and fungus and things like that. So kind of a cool deal. All right, this is just a regular fern that was outside, but it was getting a bit too beat up. And so I brought it in and trying to take care of that fern in here. So I've got that guy there. And then here is my fiddle leaf thing, which this one, see, when I was telling you guys, sometimes you take them outside and you let them get some sun and some fresh air and clean them out. I went and did something, left this guy out for too long, and you see that, how that leaf is kind of nasty looking. It got a little too burnt. So healthy leaf, nice and green. This one, a little burnt. So I left this guy out too long when I was out just doing stuff, got too busy. Same with this one. There were some fruit flies laying their eggs in it, and so I just took some, I keep a bag of sand just from the store, and then just cover it with sand, and that will get rid of your gnat issue. Super easy, safe, you don't have to worry about it. That takes care of that. So here's my fiddle leaf fern. So up here in my window, I also, here's another one that I've got propagating here in some water. These are some seeds that I have starting. I don't know if you can see them down there, if I can get it to zoom in. Yep, see them down there? So they're starting. There's the little ends coming off of the seeds. And then I also have a couple of these fiddle leaf, sorry, it's struggling to focus with the light, but a couple more of these fiddle leaves that the leaves fell off, and so I've gone ahead and placed them in water to see if I can get them to root, and then that would give me some new plants. Downstairs I also have a huge thing, but downstairs I have a huge thing of cuttings of rosemary to grow rosemary bushes, but those are downstairs. I got these guys up here in the sun though, so that way they can get some light and continue to grow. Let's see, what other plants do we have? I also have another peace lily that I keep in a vase of water. If you guys have followed us for a long time, Lily got a betta fish years ago when we first started this channel. Rick was his name, and we did the fish in the bowl with the peace lily on top of it. Well, the fish eventually died, and so I just left the plant in there. The plant isn't as healthy. The fish really do give it the nutrients and create the system that it really needs, but the plant's hanging in there even without the fish in the water. So we have that in our bathroom. Lily has a peace lily in her room as well that I'm sure she will pull out and show to you guys later. I've got a couple extra aloe veras placed around. So I do have a few other ones, but anyways, that I guess would be the majority of the ones worth showing. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause real quick so I can go make everybody lunch, make my husband lunch, and then I will finish pulling all these plants outside so we can give them some water. I'll show you guys my cool foolproof watering checker that we have, and yeah, I guess touch on anything else I might think of. All right, Lily, you can get your plant? Mm-hmm. I told everybody you'd be here. So my plant buddy,
it's really big. She
has a peace lily, and of course it is in a cat planter because Lily loves cats.
She's going to have right now.
Huh?
She's has a surprise.
Okay, Pickle has a surprise for us. Hey, do you want to set your plant down there?
So we can talk.
So we can Yeah, so once a week I like to pull everything out. Some things need more sun and they don't get enough sun in the house, so this is a great opportunity for them to be outside and get a little more sun, even though it's kind of shady right now as I'm doing this. And I just find it's easier to once a week take the hose, soak everything, let it get a nice big drink, and then let it drain real well outside. It just, I think, works better. It's also a great time for me to look over the plants, pull off any dead stuff, notice if there's any gnats or anything growing in there, which I do have some now that need the sand.
Can I put some sand on mine?
I can't lift that. That's really gonna hurt my arm. I just get a big bag of just, it's okay, set it down, of like the play sand or landscaping sand that's super cheap at Lowe's. I just keep that, and then whenever I notice gnats and stuff, I just cover it with sand, and that really remedies that problem.
Can I put some in mine?
Hold on one second. If you are nervous about knowing how much water your plants do need, things like that, like I said, overwatering is usually the biggest problem. You can get something like this off of Amazon. I'll link it down below. I don't know if you can see very well if it's focusing, but you just put it in the soil and it will tell you from a scale of dry to wet where it falls. Obviously you want your plants to be in that kind of middle zone. And I think when I bought this, it even came with like a sheet of based off of what type of plant you have, what number you want to keep that within. Especially we have, being out here in the country, we are constantly dealing with gnats and fruit flies, and it just drives me crazy. Yep. And so that's why I usually like once a week we'll water everything. That gives an opportunity. I want it to the top of the soil to dry out pretty well before I water it. When it's constantly staying moist, that's like a great opportunity for fruit flies, gnats, and stuff to breed in there. So I let it get good and dry before I go ahead and water that again. But when I have everything out here, great time to give it some sun. Succulents, which I've got a few of those down here, but succulents when they are inside especially, they get really leggy. Like this one, you see how tall it's getting versus that compact, succulent look. Because it's searching for sun. I don't have it, so it's growing up. Plants are going to go towards the sun. That's why you should rotate them and move them, just kind of keep an even balance. But the succulent, see how he's getting so leggy because he is searching for sun. So having this time outdoors in the sun to help kind of give him more of what he needs. And you can cut these down, shorten them, propagate them. We're not going to go into all of that here, but when they start to grow up like this, it's because they're searching for sun. They need more of it. So either make them outdoor plants or try to move them somewhere in your home where they can have more sun. I am struggling because I have some stuff that does need to be outdoors, but I also have chickens, and the chickens eat everything. So they're just going to have to make do for right now.
Oh, and Mom, if you put rocks in, it kind of helps with the gnats too.
Yeah, I shared the rocks already. Okay, we're going to go ahead and give everything a nice bath.
I got to interrupt your video for this.
What is it? What is that?
This is hilarious. It's instructions for my new printer.
Okay.
Everybody got to see this.
Okay, Daddy he got a printer at the thrift store, and he has his instructions.
So, the tape that's on it that closes the lid and the bottom, that's literally part of the instructions, is to take off the tape
and throw it away.
It's literal little pieces of tape.
See, right
that's
here
the
too.
first instruction.
So the tape that's holding it shut, you have to take it off and throw it away. In case you didn't know, take it off and throw it away.
That's step one. And then step two, take it off and throw it away.
So how are you doing as far as setting up your printer?
I can't figure out where the tape is. It's just a large orange strip. Like that's seriously an instruction?
That's where we're at.
I think it's worth stopping.
Okay, so I'm sorry for interrupting your video, but I saw this and I was like,
that's hilarious.
This is why we homeschool our children.
So they can be further advanced.
You're gonna break my cat pot.
Okay. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and give all of these guys a nice drink here and kind of go through, clean out just some of the dead stuff. And okay, we're not
Mine
looking,
says it's
sweetie.
dry.
Yes, it's dry. It needs water.
Okay.
Virginia's inside doing a surprise for us. She's cleaning the house. I can hear the vacuum going. But we're going to go ahead. Hold on. We're going to go ahead and get these taken care of real quick. some of this is making sense and of some help. Will you go move the bikes, please, sweetheart? Sometimes when you get like these little planters we thought were so cute at Walmart, a lot of them have these little plugs on the bottom of them, so just make sure you pull them out. Again, you don't want that water to stay standing in the plant because your plant will not like it, I promise you. And the plants that I had in those like woven baskets that were hanging on the wall, inside I have them in just the original containers that they came in. Eventually they'll need to be repotted, but for now I just have them in there, so I just take them out, let them get their good drink. This way they have the holes, they can drain really well. They're draining all over me. And then I can just set it back in that basket and it works out pretty well. If you do have pots that do not have holes, like I have these just plain black ones from Walmart and Lowe's, really inexpensive. Most of the time I will take a drill or even just a screw and poke some holes in the bottom of it, so that way I don't have to worry about too much fluid getting stuck there in the plant. And then also to help cut back on gnats and things like that, if you kind of look down in the plant there, you can see some dead stuff that is sitting down here at the soil. Bugs and stuff love feeding on the dead stuff, so I will kind of loosen out some of that and knock some of that out, so that way we're not encouraging a breeding ground of yucky little critters that I don't want to have in my house. But yeah, I would go ahead, if you don't have the holes in the pot, you can kind of just hold it and tip it over just to make sure that any excess water has an opportunity to drain out. Again, you just want to make sure that you don't have all of that excess sitting in there, and then once it is good and there's no more draining out of it, it is happy and ready to go back in the house. You getting hit by the plant?
Yeah.
Let's see. Same thing with this poor guy here. This is my struggling ivy. He's got a lot of dead stuff in here. Not poison ivy. He's just struggling. And I'll go ahead and just kind of pick out some of that again, just to try to keep the gnats out of it. I'm actually going to add some sand to this one as well. So when doing the sand, super easy. I just take handfuls, again, just a plain basic sand, and just kind of sprinkle it on here, and just enough to cover all of the soil. The gnats and little fruit flies, they do not like the feeling of the texture of the sand, and this way it's chemical free. I don't like to have chemicals in my house, so I just take and push that down around, make sure it covers up all of the soil areas, because that's where the gnats are going to try to burrow down into. And let's see, one handful should be plenty to do this. It doesn't have to be a very big covering. You just want it to be enough that all of the soil area is now covered by sand, and that will help keep all of the nasty bugs out of there. So it also means you can tell if your kids are poking their fingers in your plants, because it leaves little marks behind. I catch kids doing that quite often. So anyways, this one's all ready to go back up. So anyways, hopefully some of that helped somebody at least. Love having houseplants. There are many different houseplants that are very easy. Looking at things like a succulent, aloe vera, pothos, even ivy, spider plants, the fiddle leaf I think is pretty easy. The snake plant, these are all very simple ones to have. Definitely, if you want to kind of jump into it, clearance plants are a great way to save money and get stuff. Just know that sometimes they aren't going to come back. You just have to know that going into it. Definitely make sure that you're not overwatering. Google the plants to see where people have found the best success with those plants at in their homes. Sometimes they can give you some great ideas if you're struggling to find the right mix. And just know that with every plant, you have to find the area of your home that works the best for that particular plant. And sometimes for me, from season to season, that will change, and I'll kind of move them around. But for me, I've really found that it works out well to weekly pull everything out here, give it a good drink, let it soak up some sunshine, some fresh air. I always like to spray some water over top of it. You always think of these plants were designed to collect water from the rain, so making sure that I let some water fall down upon them, kind of simulating the idea of rain, so that way they can soak it in the way that God designed them to soak in the water, I think is helpful. And then I also buy the little organic plant food spikes that you can get from Lowe's and Amazon. I'll link all of this stuff down below too, but I get those and keep those in the plants. I think it does help. You want to make sure, obviously, when they're sitting in the same soil, they are depleting it of its nutrients, so we have to make sure to replenish those from time to time. I do not stick to it on a super awesome schedule like I'm sure you're probably supposed to. I kind of do it as I remember, or as I notice my plants are kind of needing a little something and they're not looking too good. So, but again, when you're pulling them out once a week and rinsing them real good and picking out dead stuff, it really does help to notice, you know, when things are not looking, you know, very good with something.
Show my plant?
Yes. Do you want to pull it up and show it again? Lily's plant. You showed your plant already. You want to do it again? Hers has one too that has the little plug on the bottom, so we've pulled that out to let any of the excess water. But look at her great bloom. She's got some great blooms going here in her little kitty planter. I have the same plant. That's the one. I'll show it.
That's what the plant's called.
This was the fish bowl that no longer has a fish in it. That's why the water is so yucky looking. But I go ahead and pour out this water and put stuff in. This one doesn't have any blooms. It's the same plant as Lily's, but it hasn't gotten any new blooms just because it doesn't have the best conditions where it's at. But that's okay. Yes.
Right.
I already told
R.I.P. Right.
Yes, I already told that story. So anyways, sometimes things won't bloom if they don't have everything that they need. I'm happy with it just being a green plant in the bathroom, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay. Does that help? Hopefully that helps. Hopefully some of that helps. I hope you guys, if you have any questions about houseplants or certain ones, I'm happy to answer. If there's anything that I said that didn't make sense that you'd like for me to share more on, just ask and I will be happy to answer it. But otherwise, this is kind of the majority of my plants. I've got a little hanger out here with some succulents in it. I never brought it in this winter, and so a handful of them have died out. Not all of them, but I need to pull out the dead ones, and I just honestly, in all the things, have not gotten to it. Some ferns outside, some clematis outside. Maybe I can do an outdoor plant one a different time, but this is what we have indoors at the moment. Always adding to it. Oh, I will show. See, here's a couple of mine that were clearance plants that are really just sticks right now, but they're still green. That's how you can, a great way to tell is if you look at this, I don't know if you can see, but this is still very much green here, and you've got a little bit of new growth coming out of this down here. So odds are I can probably save this. So I'm holding on for dear hope, but for the next little while, it'll look sad and pathetic like this in our home. But I don't know. I think I kind of enjoy the challenge of trying to save the plants, so I will hold on to it even if it looks like this. Right. Anything else? No. Hopefully that helped. Hopefully that is an encouragement to you in your houseplant journey. I think it's just fun to incorporate God's creation in any way that we can, and so filling my home with plants is a great way to do it, to bring some of the outside in. Ah, the breeze going through the trees. It feels so good.
Breeze going. Hey, you rhyme.
Hey, I rhymed.
The breeze going through the trees.
Look at that.
Breeze
Poet and didn't know it, huh?
The leaves are going to the peas.
All right, guys, we are going to go and now finish up all of the plant work that we started, and then Daddy and I have Bible study to record. If you guys have not come over to enjoy our Ecclesiastes Bible study, we would love to have you come and do that. We have been so enjoying going through the book of Ecclesiastes together. It's one of our favorite books, so sharing that in our family Bible study. But otherwise, we're going to get all this stuff done, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us.